everybody, it's Amber. Thank you so much for joining me. What you're staring at here is a project that I'm so happy with and proud of. So this is a journal, and I made this thing junk journal style. I've never made one of these with signatures like this before. This is the first time, and I kind of did this easy elastic binding. This was definitely inspired by Elliot. She did the twine binding. She came up with the twine binding idea, and I've done 2 albums like that. I'll link them both below for you if you missed them. But I decided I wanted to kill an entire paper pad and make a bunch of journal inserts, kind of like traveler's notebook style almost, and make it into a beautiful floral diary / journal. And that's exactly what I did. And the most exciting part is I made the cover out of a cereal box. So I am so excited to show you step by step on how I made this. I'd like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. So if you've watched my videos in the past, you know that I absolutely love Skillshare. It's an online learning community with thousands upon thousands of classes for the creative minds. And if you are craving some creativity and inspiration, I really recommend that you check out Skillshare for all of their workshops and classes in pretty much any subject you can think of. Especially right now, while we're all trying to stay home and maybe find things at home to keep us busy and creative, I really recommend going over there and checking out what they have to offer. I took this class here, and I was excited the entire time I watched it. She is basically upcycling her old artwork and making it into something else, which kind of goes along with my whole Rediscover Your Stash series that we're doing, and it especially inspired the project that I did today, where I upcycled a cereal box and used up an entire paper pad. She's kind of doing the same thing here, where she's taking things that she already has, shopping through her stash, and creating the most gorgeous greeting cards out of her old artwork. And her artwork is gorgeous. It's like watercolor and all these different paintings that she had stashed. So no matter what your interests are, Skillshare has such a huge library of trendy creative classes and workshops, and it works out to be just about $10 a month for their premium membership, which is absolutely amazing. Just for watching this video and being one of my subscribers, the first 1,000 people to click the link below will get a free 2-month trial of Skillshare's premium membership. So go down there, click the link, and start exploring today. So as you can see here, I made 7 journal inserts inside this beautiful journal. And all this floral paper is just gorgeous. I'm going to show you the paper pad that I completely killed for this project. So there's all the beautiful journal inserts. These are perfect for putting your memories over here and then journaling on the white side. I love using single-sided paper for journals like this, and I even added some pockets, which we're going to learn how to do in the tutorial. So it's fun because you can put your memorabilia, your pictures over here, and then do a lot of journaling. There is a lot of journaling space in this, and I just think it's so beautiful. So the paper pad that I used is from Hobby Lobby, and it's called the Floral Shop. I know they still have this available. I know Hobby Lobbies, most of them around the country are closed right now, but once they open back up, you can go in and get this. Now, the very important thing that I want to point out is this had 80 sheets. I used every single sheet. And this is one of those paper pads that is printer paper weight. So this is not cardstock. This paper pad had 80 sheets, and it is the printer paper weight paper. This is the flimsy paper, and I absolutely love that kind of paper for this type of project. This is the perfect project to kill an entire paper pad. So if you don't have any of this paper, you can totally make this project with regular scrapbook paper that's pattern cardstock. You'll just use less pages per signature. So these little journal inserts are so easy. You've seen me make them this style 1,000 times on my channel. So I'm going to take you through this quick process on how to make the inserts. You're going to need 10 pieces of that scrapbook paper cut down to 9 inches by 11.5 inches. Split them apart in stacks of 5, and I like to round all the corners on mine, so that's what I'm doing here. And then you're simply going to fold each of these stacks in half. So that way you're folding basically 5 sheets together in half, and you'll have 2 stacks of this per journal. So then just take one of those stacks of 5 and put it inside the other. Put that aside, and now you're going to work on the cover for your insert. You're going to need a piece of cardstock. Now this is a piece of cardstock here on the bottom where the white side is up. It's a single-sided piece of scrapbook paper that I wasn't using from another paper pad. Now this is the pattern cardstock. So I'm just filling this all up with glue, and what this is going to do is make our flimsy paper more sturdy for the cover. So you're going to also cut another piece of floral paper at 12 by 9 and just back it up on that cardstock, and it just makes it like a double layer and makes it more thick to be the cover for your insert. So then I'm just going to burnish this down really well with my bone folder, round all the corners of course, and now you've got yourself a sturdy cover. And see how the other side has the pattern on it from that other scrapbook pad? It's optional if you want to do that, or you can use the white side on that side to make it, just to leave it blank. So then you're going to stick all your inserts inside and just grab your long arm stapler. This one's amazing. I'll link it below. You've seen me use it before. And on the outside of your journal, just make 3 staples, fold it in half. And you're going to do this as many times as you want, or as many times as you can with the paper that you have available. I did 7 of them. And that's how many of these journals I could get with the paper, and that's how many we're going to put inside the journal. Then I have these Tim Holtz sentiment stickers, and all I did is I backed these stickers up on some scrap cardstock with some additional adhesive to make it a little more sturdy. And of course, like I said, I put additional adhesive every time. And then I just cut this out, and I used it for the simple like little title page on the cover of each of these. And I just love all the words that these offer. There's black ones and there's white ones in that collection, and so I just used a mixture of them throughout this throughout all of my inserts. So there you have it. That's how you make the inserts for your journal. So now let's move on to the cereal box. I'm so excited that we're upcycling this cereal box. And so I'm doing voiceover here because it is so simple. As you can see, I'm just kind of taking some scissors and cutting this so it opens up. So here's your cereal box, and I don't have a paper trimmer that can fit it, so I just folded it in half, and I'm going to cut off the bottom, like the little, where that folds right there at the bottom, where the cereal box would be standing. So I'm just going to take that off. You don't have to measure it. Just make sure you take that part off because you're not going to need it. And we're going to clean up that edge in just a minute. So then I'm just going to do the same thing for the top flap. I'm just going to go right there on that fold and just take it off with my paper trimmer. And you can use a dull blade for this so you don't ruin your blade. And then see this here on the right? We don't need that spine piece because we're going to, of course, use the spine piece on the left. So now I've got the cereal box in my paper cutter, and I want to trim this down to fit what my book measurement is. So this is 6 by 9. So I want to make sure that the front and back covers measure 6 3/4. Throughout the video, I do base it on 6 3/4, but I figured out at the end that you should cut it to 6 1/2 instead. Just so they're a little bit bigger, and if I need to trim them down afterwards, I can, but I don't want to make it too small. So this is how I'm going to measure this, since I'm not going to be separating these pieces, obviously. See where the fold is right here? You're going to line that fold up at 6 3/4, so right there. And then this is going to be a nice clean edge, just like that. So then turn this around and do the exact same thing. Line this fold up at 6 3/4. And then again, slice that off for a nice clean edge. So then you've got the width of it cut down, and now you need to cut down the height of it. So again, since my paper trimmer is not long enough for the whole length, I'm going to fold this in half like that, and I want to cut this down to 9 inches. Okay, so at this point we have our cereal box book cover. You need to choose 2 pieces that are going to be your front and back cover. Now it's probably a good idea to have the same sheet, just so it's like cohesive on the entire book. But of course I didn't think about that until after. But these are my 2 absolute favorite prints out of that paper pad, so I don't mind. So each of these are going to measure 12 inches tall by 8 1/4 wide. Just me interrupting really fast again. So since I had you cut the cereal box to 6.5 instead of 6 3/4, you'll want to cut the paper here to 8 instead of 8 1/4. So the final measurement would be 12 by 8. And those are going to be for your front and back cover. Then for the spine piece, you need a piece that measures 12 inches tall by 3 inches wide. And so this might look a little bit too eclectic, but I think it looks really pretty. This is super florally. They're all mixed patterns, and so I kind of like the way it looks. So I'm going to take my ATG, and you can use Scor Tape for this. You can use wet glue for this. The PVA glue that I used in one of my last videos would be great for this. I'm just going to go with my fave, my ATG Gun. And so where this right here is scored, I'm going to get right up against that score line and just make sure I get this all covered with ATG. And the most important thing is to get all of the edges. Okay, so since this is my front cover, this is my favorite page right here. So again, this measures 12 inches up and down by 8 1/4 wide, and that just leaves 1.5 inches on every single side. So you are going to butt this up to that score line, all the way up to it, and just make sure the bottom and the top are pretty even. You can just eyeball it. If you have a craft mat, that's great, because then you can make sure it's completely even. So then just lay that down. Okay, it got a little chilly in my craft room. I put my sweater on, but I like to make sure all the edges are nice and burnished, and then get the middle all pressed down, and I'll show you what it looks like on the other side. So this is how it looks on the other side, and so I'll show you how we're going to cover that in just a minute. But before we do that, we're going to do the other side exactly the same as this side. Okay, so now I've got my front and back cover adhered, and I'm going to do my spine piece this time. So I'm just going to cover this entire thing with adhesive, just like the other 2. Make sure that I have it lined up with the same amount of slack on each side. All right. So now that this is glued down, you've got this side that has not been glued because you only glued the cereal box and not the paper. So for this, I recommend doing a little bit of wet glue. Make sure it's the kind that dries clear and flexible, and that's the whole reason we're doing the wet glue here, is because this part needs to be really flexible when we close our book. And it's okay if it gets on this page because, like I said, it dries super clear and flexible. And I totally did not show you this side because a lot of it seeped out, and you want to do way less glue than I did on this side. But this side was pretty good. And I'm just using my new fave, this Line Co. PVA glue. It's just a wet glue. I'm just going to turn this around. And now we need to wrap this around. And you've seen me do this before. I'm going to take some scissors and just angle the corners. And you don't want to angle it all the way to the edge. You want to leave about 1/8 of an inch away from that corner. So, see how much I left there? I did leave a little bit of slack there. So we're just going to do that for all 4 corners. So now that we have all the angles cut, I'm just going to take my bone folder and kind of score where I'm going to be folding. Just to get it a little bit prepped. Your chipboard, cereal box. So then the next thing you do is kind of just work up these pages around the chipboard. And this scrapbook paper, as I mentioned before, is regular printer weight paper. It's not cardstock. So it's going to be a little bit more flexible than cardstock, but you still do need to be careful that you don't crack the paper. So then the next thing you do is take some ATG, or you can use your wet glue again, and just cover these flaps. So I'm going to get it all the way to the edge, and you're going to simply fold these in now. So I don't like to do it too tight because I don't want my paper to rip when I go to close this. So just gently fold that over. And we're going to do that for the rest of our edges. For the 2 inside covers measure 6 inches by 8 1/4, and then the middle piece measures 3 3/4 by 8 1/4. Okay, so now we're going to get these glued down. I like to do the 2 side ones first. I know some people like to do the middle first, so it's just up to you, but I like to do the 2 side ones first. So what I'm going to do this time is actually put the adhesive on the paper. So I'm going to use my ATG gun. You can use whatever glue that you choose. So I've got this all covered with my glue. And for this, you're going to check and see gently. So with this, you want it away from this score line. And so I'm going to make it to where it's got an even border all the way around, and it's away from that score line. So I think I'll set it right there. And that's perfect. And then just take your bone folder, burnish those edges, and then get the whole panel of the paper. Make sure it's really, really glued down and secure. There's our inside cover. I love how it's like mixing patterns. It looks so pretty. Very, very florally. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing with this sheet for this side. I glued this side down like a little bit crooked because the patterns are making me dizzy and confused. But anyways, so I want to make sure that I center this perfectly, and I make sure that the score lines are well within the paper. So now I'm going to just add all my glue to this side. The base all covered, I just want to gently kind of find that score line and gently try to bend it up for a minute, because if I go too fast, it will rip my paper. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. I think I can bend it a little more. Looks pretty good. I love how the spine kind of comes around and wraps a little bit and gives this nice edge here. The spine's beautiful, and then there's the back. This looks so pretty. I love how our book cover has come together. So now I'm going to bring in some elastic, and this is pretty thin elastic. I got it on, I think, Amazon or Etsy. I can't really remember. I will try to find some and link it below, but this is what it looks like. And this is inspired by Sarah Elliot. She used twine though, and I've made 2 albums with her technique using the twine for the binding. So she used like twine like this for the binding. It's the most genius idea ever, and I'm going to link her channel below so you can go over and get more inspiration, because she's incredible. But this is inspired by that, but I'm going to be using elastic. So we've got 7 books here that I want to put into my journal. So this is how I do the elastic. I want to wrap this around 7 times, maybe 8 times to leave room for another book. So what I'm going to do is start with my elastic. I want to start with like a whole length of slack. So I just measured a length, and now I'm going to start from here and wrap this around 8 times. This is 8, and this is going over the top, and I've got the slack there on the bottom. Just how I did a whole entire length of slack that came up from the bottom, I'm going to do another entire length of slack from the top. So how you are looking at this right now, this is actually the top of the book, and this is the bottom. So here's the piece we started with, and then here's the piece I ended with, right here. So just like I do the twine, I'm going to stick this piece under all the pieces here and grab that through. Do the same with this piece. I'm going to stick this one underneath all those pieces, and then near the top of the book here, I'm going to tie this into a double knot. So I'm going to trim this off in a minute, but I don't want to do it yet. I want to turn this around and see what I'm working with here. So here are all of our strings, and now we get to fill this up with the journals that I made. So now I'm going to put my journals in with the elastic. So you just find the center of your book and stick it in there. There's the first one. My favorite one right here. I'm so excited about this. This was so easy, and I killed that paper pad. Okay, so I've got all of them in. Now the moment of truth. I'm going to close this up. Oh my goodness. This is absolutely so beautiful. I'm in love with this. So I'm just going to snip this off. I'm not going to tie a bow. I made the cover 6 3/4. I think we could have done 6 1/2. So I'm just throwing that out there. But oh my goodness. Check out this beautiful diary. I absolutely love it. It's so pretty. We've got all of our journals in here with the beautiful paper to add memories and journaling over here. And I even added some pockets. Oh my goodness, this is so pretty. So I'm going to be doing a flip through of all of this. How I added these cute pockets. So for these insert pages, how you cut them down to 11.5 by 9, you're going to end up with strips like this. So all I did was I took my paper trimmer and I cut these strips down to 9 inches. So these can be for the pockets. Now these end up being 3 by 9, and all I did was, of course, round the 2 corners to match up with the insert paper. And then you just take a circle punch and you're going to punch the opposite, you're going to punch the side where the corners are not rounded, just like this, and go about halfway down and make your little notch. And then you just place it right here, and those corners will match up perfectly with your paper because you rounded them. And then you add wet glue here, here, and here. And you've got a pocket. And you can stick memorabilia in there, tags. You can do journaling here and then stick, you know, stuff in there. You can put pictures in there. But I just absolutely am in love with this album. So I think I'm going to take some of this beautiful, really subtle seam binding, this yellow color that I got from my favorite Etsy shop, My Scrap Cabin. I'll link it below because if you didn't know already, she makes gorgeous dyed crinkled seam binding. And actually, I'm going to do a mixture of these 2 yellows, I think. Just took like a random amount of each one. So I just want to take the seam binding kind of up here where I knotted it and tie it in a really nice bow. So there's my knot. I'm going to do a double knot. And then a fluffy, beautiful bow. Alright, there we go. And I love how it just hangs down there. I like how the tails hang down. Looks so pretty. And now that's all decorated. This would make the most gorgeous Mother's Day gift ever. We can even take some of the scraps. I mean, look at all these scraps that I have. And make a pocket here. I'll probably end up doing that. And now I just want to simply embellish the cover the way I did the journals. Let's see, I really love the one that says Dreamer of Dreams. That is beautiful, and I think I want to use that one. Laid down some extra ATG right there, like I always do with these. I just love the simplicity of this. And how it's going to look on our journal. So here it is. I'm so happy with how this turned out. It was so easy. I can't believe this is a cereal box that we used for the cover and all these journals inside it. I killed that paper pad, which makes me super happy. It went so fast with that long reach stapler, and oh my goodness, I decided to back the sticker up on some craft paper to kind of make it look like a faux frame. So I just sealed it with this glue here, the Tombow Mono Aqua liquid glue, and for the top, and just to kind of make it sealed in there and permanent. That's still drying, so it's kind of still shiny. But I'm just so happy with our journal. It's so pretty. Look at the back cover too. And I love that we use the PVA glue here on the edge to make it nice and sturdy. I upcycled the cereal box and I'm just so excited. And you could totally make this super fast. Just get out some elastic and you can totally do this. So easy. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you're all having a great week. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!